Another factor, when you look in Genesis, it speaks about the waters, and it speaks about the waters on the planet. It says it was desolate and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Now, this shows us that Genesis, again, is not the beginning. Water is hydrogen and oxygen is the 8th element on the chart, and hydrogen is the first. So we have hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. So you have 8 elements that had to be in existence for there to be water. So it's showing you again that there's no way possibly that this Genesis was the beginning. And then it speaks about the creation of the sun, and the sun is fire, is burning. You also need oxygen there. So again, you have those 8 elements that had to be in existence. Now, carbon is the 6th element on the chart, and carbon is a result of a substance that has been burnt. So there had to be something that had been burnt in order for there to be even carbon. So Genesis couldn't possibly be the beginning of creation. Now, again, as I stated, that you would have to go into the records prior, which would be your Enuma Elish and the Gilgamesh epics, and you would have to also go into the Egyptian records and get a full understanding of what took place before Genesis, and our birth date being far older than 6,000 years, because religious scholars say that like Genesis is like, was it 6,000 to 10,000 years old, but our existence as Nubians, as Africans, whatever title you want to give us, exists far beyond, way before the actual Bible came into existence. And even when you go into the Bible and you go into Jeremiah 4:23, it also tells you about what took place before Genesis.
I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down, and the presence of the Lord, and his fierce anger. For thus hath the Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet I will not make a full end.
Another thing that you have to pay attention to is that when Adam and Eve was given a commandment or order by God, they were told to go forth, multiply, and replenish the earth. The word used there in the Hebrew is ma'aleh, and it means to refill. It's like if I give you a glass of water and you finish and you say, could you refill this for me? In order to replenish, that means something had to have existed there before. And this is the same thing or command in Genesis 9, where Noah and his family was given the same order, and they were told to go forth, multiply, and replenish the earth. Now, the average religious person doesn't know it's in there, because a lot of times when you go to the church, the minister, the pastor, the reverend doesn't go. He doesn't even touch Genesis. He stays within the New Testament and stays within certain books. So you never get to see what the actual Bible is saying. And the reason that a lot of people don't go there is because, one, they can't explain what is in there. But because now that because of right knowledge, you're able to now look deeper into religion and break the spell of belief that's been cast upon people. When you go to Genesis again, you see that there's a lot of things that don't make sense as far as it being the beginning. So God is God, or which is really, now we know that is a plural. Gods, they said in Genesis 1:26, let us make man. Again, you see the plural. Let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Because again, this is talking about a group of gods. When you go throughout the scriptures, you'll find that there are many gods. You'll find that even men are also made gods, as Moses was made God in Exodus 7:1. And then when you go to John's 10:34, Jesus himself calls a group of people. He says, "Isn't that written in your law? I said ye are gods." Again, you don't learn this in the church. They jump over this because they won't be able to explain it. But if you go back to Genesis, it tells you was made in the image and likeness of God. And when you look at God in the Bible, God walked in the garden, so it was something physical. You know, when you go to, again, like I said, throughout this whole scripture, you see that God was a physical being, walking, talking, eating. This is what he wasn't, he wasn't actually taught. So within this series of Bible explanations is I'm going to go through the Bible to give people, those who are religious, that this is for the religious people, I'm going to give them the opportunity to really look at their Bible and see what the Bible is really saying.
Right knowledge, right wisdom, and a right understanding gives you Nuwapu, which is the science of sound right reasoning, and its followers are the sons and daughters of sound right reasoning. Belief is ignorance. Belief is to ignore the facts, intentionally or ignorantly. If one has to believe, then it means that he or she does not know, and if one does not know, that is ignorance. Hence, belief is ignorance, and religious belief is ignorance. Demand that anyone attempting to impose upon you their religious beliefs that they are to produce the facts. The most deceptive word in religion is the word believe or belief, because a person can believe anything, and this means a person can believe and be 100% wrong. But knowledge is knowing, and knowledge is correct information. To know gives you confidence, but belief enters in doubt.